This episode of the Fandom Zone is brought to you by Tweaked Audio.
To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
You look really familiar. I've seen you before, haven't I?
Barry.
Barry.
Barry Allen.
Right,
it's fine.
sorry.
Some people are just meant to be in your life.
What am I going to do with you?
Well, I can think of a few things. Might need a stretch first, though.
You told me the dead don't want anything. Either I'm willing to do whatever is necessary, or I shouldn't be up there at all.
Which is exactly why I can't be.
You can't kill murder. You can't get revenge on evil. You can only fight them where they live.
X-Men's. Hello.
X-Men's.
Hello, everyone.
Schnickety schnicked.
Yeah. Schnicked. Isn't that, what is it?
It's snicked.
Oh, schnicked. Yeah.
Schnick.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fandom Zone, episode 72.
I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do isn't pretty.
For the week ending August 13th, 2016. I am Charles. And
I'm Karen.
And my co-host Karen is with me this week. And today we'll be talking about Outcast, episode 8, and Wynonna Earp, episode 8. A little light again this week. We have a couple more weeks of lightness before we get into the amazingness that will be this fall season of incredible greatness of comic book shows.
Thousands and thousands of shows.
Right. Which CBS and NBC have still not learned about, apparently. ABC has Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
But,
they've got one.
CBS has none.
None. Although they say they want some, but they can't find the right script, which makes no sense. Right.
And then NBC...
And they did so well with Supergirl.
NBC has nothing.
Nothing,
right.
Because they punked Constantine.
Right.
Losers.
But, like, the CW is now the DC Berlanti-verse, which is awesome.
The CW should just change its name to The DC.
Right, exactly. Right? The DCW.
And then, they have so many shows they don't know what to do with.
Right. And then, we have a smattering on the other networks, AMC and Syfy and things like that, even
Cinemax.
Some on the premium networks. So, we've got some really great stuff.
Fox has a few.
Oh, yeah, Fox has Lucifer and Gotham, which I forgot. I'm sorry, I should not forget about those because those are two of my favorites. So, yeah. And we just learned this week that Jerome will be back on Gotham.
Oh, I did not know that, although I pretty much guessed it.
Yeah, we posted that on Gotham Undercover, and I assumed you would have it for our Facebook page. So.
No, actually I didn't, but that's okay. That's cool because, it seemed pretty likely because he was one of those guys in the tubes, if you remember, floating in the tubes, and then he was heard laughing at the end when he's getting, like, all those criminals were getting off the bus.
Yeah. So, he escaped Indian Hill, and he'll be out with Fish and Lizard Guy, and
we're getting the Mirror Master.
I know, I'm so happy about that.
Are you geeked? Because I know you're a huge Mirror Master fan.
I love the Mirror Master big time. He's one of my favorite rogues. So, yeah. I'm really happy about this fall season, and I can't wait. I really can't wait. We're going to be going nuts this fall.
But for now,
we still have Outcast and Wynonna Earp to talk about.
Yep. Outcast is hitting the home stretch.
It is. And boy, this was a great episode, I thought.
I thought so too.
And Wynonna Earp was also pretty good this week as well.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
It was pretty good.
So why don't we start with Outcast 8, What Lurks Within?
All right. Written by Tony Basgallup, directed by Scott Winan.
Very nice. Both great jobs on their parts. My story titles are, and this week I have to say they're kind of plot point titles on both of these episodes, because it seemed that a lot of the storylines just kind of melded on both of these episodes. Yeah.
But this was a big, we got a lot of answers to questions.
We sure did.
Episode. Much needed answers to questions.
Sure did.
They threw a lot at us in this one.
A lot of backstory for some of the characters. A
lot of connecting the dots, so you can kind of oh, okay, I see. And that's good.
Disturbing backstory.
Yes.
So a story would be Sydney's trauma house instead of, Sydney Opera House. I kind of
nice. I like that. I like that.
Who's the outcast now?
Who's the outcast now?
See?
Yeah.
There's always two sides to the story.
Mm-hmm.
And trading it in
I would have done trading places, but...
No, in reference to the truck.
Okay, got it.
Traded it in. So, Sydney's trauma house, this was a huge plot point in this episode. We get to learn a little bit about Sydney's backstory, and this kind of ties in with there's always two sides to the story as well, because it leads into the fact that Sydney talks to Kyle in this episode. So let's start with Sydney's backstory, and then we'll move right into him talking to Kyle.
That works because that's what we opened up the episode with, so it makes perfect sense to get in there.
So we see Sydney back before he was, I guess, possessed.
Let's just call it possessed because everybody understands what that means.
Right. So before he was possessed, he worked in a carnival, and which is a good setting for what he did in his spare time.
Right.
He worked in this carnival or, whatever it was, where he took tickets and he gave out prizes to these young kids, and he gave them extra.
It was like skee ball or something.
Yeah.
He's giving out skee ball tickets.
It could have been like what is that restaurant where you can...
Chuck E. Cheese?
Well, Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, but there's an adult version too.
Oh, yeah, Dave and
Buster's, right? Yeah, something like that. Where you turn in your tickets and you get prizes. And these kids didn't have enough prizes for the big thing, so he gave them extra tokens, and they're like, yay. But apparently, with the tokens came a catch, which was to take the kid back to his house. Mm-hmm. And he was tied up in a room and
got some candy for you.
Yeah. I got a popsicle for you.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
Yeah, the popsicle thing is from Family Guy. Do you remember that old guy from Family Guy?
Oh yeah. I forget. Yeah. The guy that's always hot for Chris.
Right.
Herbert, Mr. Herbert.
Phrasing.
Got a popsicle for you,
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I got a popsicle for you. He always talks like that.
You get your fat ass back here.
Exactly that guy. So, he takes the treat into the kid. And he not only is he creepy, but, he's going to cut him. And he's having all these visions. So he's done this before. So he's flashing back to doing it before. And
obviously, he's serial killer.
Right. And a pedophile and many other things. So
a really heartwarming guy.
Yeah.
Data, what happened to you, Data?
Separate the character. It's Brent Spiner, and he did a really great job in this episode, by the way, of filling in the gaps for this character. And, he made him look charming, which is one of the characteristics of a serial killer, is being just completely charming on the outside and creepy on the inside.
Yeah.
And
very, very Hannibal Lecter-esque, I might add.
Very much so. And then, later on, we get to see after he's possessed and he goes in with the knife, and instead of cutting the kid, he lets him go. And that's...
Yeah, so it's almost like the demon doesn't care.
Right. He has no interest in doing bad things to this kid. He has bigger motives.
Right. It's just like, you're taking up space, or you're going to distract me, or whatever.
Right. I have no use for you.
You're just a complication.
Right. And so the kid runs, and this is when Sydney is pulled to the town, to Rome, and to Kyle, and he has to get all these other creatures to possess the people of the town. And he has this chat with Kyle in this episode where he tells him that...
Yeah. Well, let's set this up, because Sydney is in prison.
Right. Oh, right. For carving...
Yeah.
The upside down pentagram into
because Anderson make the accusation that Sydney carved that pentagram into his chest. So the sheriff is like, well, that's kind of a crime.
Yeah, kind of.
So let's go throw him in jail.
Right, and deservedly so.
Right.
But through the work of some weird kid. He gets out.
Patricia's kid.
Right.
And who's a major douche.
WTF is what I have to say. That kid is looking up to Sydney for some reason.
He hates the Rev.
Right.
He doesn't want the Rev anywhere near his mom. And even though he watched Sydney carve that pentagram into Anderson's chest, he's still going to throw Anderson on the bus and say, "Oh no, the Reverend carved it himself,"
right.
And the sheriff doesn't buy it because
doesn't.
Right now, he says, "Why would he carve it into himself?"
Right, but he has to let him go because he has a testimony that says,
he's a witness supposedly,
right?
Even though he's lying,
right? Of course, but Giles doesn't have any choice. He kind of has to let him go. So he lets Sydney go. Kyle finds out when he goes to visit his mom that Sydney has left flowers. Can't leave candy, so he leaves the candy with the staff.
Mm-hmm. Well, first it's mysterious because Amber's there with Kyle.
Right.
And she's like, well, I've got these flowers. Okay, well, what about these flowers over here?
Right.
And then Kyle's like, wait a minute, who put these flowers here?
Right. And they describe Sydney. He figures it out pretty quickly that it's Sydney.
Yeah.
So he leaves Amber with his sister, and he goes to find Sydney and talk to him. Then he and Sydney have a bit of a sit down, and there's always two sides to the story. And Sydney tells him about these beings, souls, whatever you want to call them. Entities, the black goo.
Yeah.
And
apparently there's like a half dozen of them, or...
Yeah. And Kyle wants to know why are they around me? And
which is a great question.
It is a really great question. And Sydney doesn't go into a lot of detail, but he says you are the one that helped us get here. But he tells him that he's kind of a conduit. He's something that pulls them.
Yeah, I've actually got the line here.
Okay, thank you.
Apparently he says he's like a match in a dark forest that his kind are attracted to.
Okay. But he doesn't tell them
And he
why.
also suggests that he should learn to live with his possessed mom instead of beating her.
Right. And he suggested that he should have just let it go on because she would have learned to live with the entity inside of her and balanced it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he would have had his mother instead of the vegetable that he has now. So he suggests that once the entity settles within a body, the person becomes attuned and somewhat normal.
Right.
However, they don't really become normal. They're a different person. So he's twisting it, obviously, because he wants these beings to come and live within these bodies. They want to come and take over these bodies. So he's definitely twisting things. And
as we found out with Pet Shop Guy.
Right. There's something.
Yeah, it's not exactly a healthy symbiotic relationship going on here because the demon inside Pet Shop Guy just destroyed his life totally.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And everything seems to be centered around violence. There's always some violence that goes on when the entity comes into their body. And it may not have been that way with Sydney when it first happened, but there's definitely something sinister with him. I mean, he's violent now. I mean, he goes to Anderson and
excuse me.
He goes to Anderson and carves the thing into his chest. I mean, he definitely has violent tendencies, but there's beatings and all kinds of things. Allison almost choked their daughter, and Kyle's mother beat him when she was possessed. So there's definitely bad things happening. But, Sydney tries to paint this picture of, well, if they just learn to live with them, then it'll settle down and they'll be fine. Kyle's not buying it, obviously, and,
Nor should he.
No, he shouldn't. So there's that. There's another storyline about Anderson, and so interesting as well. This is Who's the Outcast Now, obviously.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was that everybody was giving the old side eye to Kyle. Yeah. But now it's just like, Reverend Anderson. Ooh.
Yeah, maybe he's the bad influence on Kyle.
Yeah, if I was Kyle, I'd be like, see, it's not me, it's this guy.
Right. He went crazy last episode at the little ceremony, and he started yelling at Sydney about the thing on his chest and the thing painted on the statue. And it was this kid apparently who painted the pentagram on the statue because he watched the thing happen. He admitted to it in this episode.
Right.
And so Anderson went nuts, and the whole town is talking about him. He went to pick up. Well, he sees the lady on the street,
Ogden's wife.
Right, Ogden's
the one that they figured out was actually possessed instead of the guy Ogden.
Right. So he sees her on the street, and her she got a flat tire. So he says,
"Wonder how she got that flat tire."
Right. Maybe Anderson, do you think?
Maybe Anderson with a switchblade?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So he offers to pick her up and take her somewhere, and she's really hesitant because, he's the crazy guy, and hey, it'd go a long way to making me look a little better. And so he takes her home, and it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
Not at all.
Well, I think I think Anderson knew this because he just kind of throws her into Kyle's house.
Right.
Practically. I mean, she tries to I'm getting away. No, he drags her back physically, like, you're in the house.
Right. And things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Kyle shows up.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I gotta find that.
You found it? You got your notes, or you need? Okay.
So, can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's see. Blah 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 blah. So Kyle ends up going to his house.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry.
You got it?
He says that he's going to try and exercise, and she kind of blows him off.
Yeah.
And says, Sydney is preparing for this big event, some tribulation that's coming. And she replies, "Why are you so scared? Jesus is coming unless you don't believe it's true." Something of that sort. And, of course, Anderson is reeled by this because he is preaching a whole different way. And he's shaken a bit by that. And, his way of preaching is by fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of a different thing that's happening as well. So he wants to exorcise all these demons, and Sydney is trying to put demons in people in order for this different kind of second coming. And they're kind of trying to intimate that Sydney is doing this second coming his way, while Anderson is preaching a whole fire and brimstone-y sort of second coming. Did you get that feeling from that scene?
Kind of. I mean, it's basically I don't think these demons see themselves as the bad guys.
Right.
Which bad guys never do.
Right. They think of themselves as the
they
second coming.
They see Anderson as the bad guy.
Right. Because he's trying to get rid of them.
Right.
Right.
He's the major threat
Right.
to them, even though right now he's basically back on his heels and not really being like, he's not thinking things through.
Right.
He's acting off of pure emotion and, this whole desire that he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the man.
Right.
And everybody's like realizing that Kyle's the man.
Right.
Because Kyle's got the skills that Anderson wants.
Doesn't. Right.
And so he's a little jealous of Kyle. And that kind of comes out in this fight between Kyle and the Rev.
Yeah. And then they end up releasing Kat, Ogden's wife, back to...
Yeah, it's a big throwdown in the yard.
Right, back to Lenny.
And then, of course, that's when Giles and Ogden show up.
Correct.
Which is like, not at all awkward.
Right. Hey.
But Giles pulls Anderson off of Kyle.
Right. Hey, you have my wife. What is she doing here?
Yeah.
And it ends up resulting in Ogden, who is the head of the religious association in town, firing Anderson.
Right.
And so he has to get off.
All the bigwigs get together and say, "You're out."
Right. And can you blame them?
Oh, and by the way, since your home is actually church property, you got to move out.
Right. His rectory is on church property. So he takes all his stuff.
Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more.
That's right. He takes all of his stuff and he has to go live with his lady friend who, happens
Patricia.
to be the mother of the kid who narked on him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the kid's not happy. Kid's hanging out with Sydney.
Yeah, well, guess what? All of this is your fault, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So you kind of made your own bed, kid.
Kid doesn't see it that way. Kid sees it all as Anderson's fault.
It's going to send him running to Sydney now, so there's going to be...
Now let me throw something at you here and see what just a theory I've been having. Mm-hmm. Do you see this kid having a bit of an Oedipal complex?
Sure.
With his mom, because he doesn't seem to want anybody with his mom.
Right.
Doesn't want her happy. Wants her with him.
A little in love with his mom. Yeah, sure.
But he still just wants to treat her like crap.
Of course.
But he wants to control her.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he's very weird.
Yes, he is.
I would consider him a bit of a sociopath.
Mm-hmm. Which makes him perfect for Sydney.
Right.
Because, hey, I can use this kid.
Right.
And there's a scene there at the end where, kids watching TV or something.
In Sydney's house.
And Sydney's eating some cornflakes or something at the table, just kind of,
Well, he
what
breaks
can I do
into
for you?
Sydney's house before Sydney gets back. And then
Yeah.
he's like, get out of my house. And he decides he's not going to go, the McCready kid.
Right.
And at the end, you just see them kind of coexisting there in the house because Sydney has realized, okay, well, he's not going to go, so I guess I'll make the best of it. So
exactly.
That's where it ends. And I'm thinking Sydney wants to throw him out because maybe he doesn't want to revert back to the guy he was before he was possessed. He doesn't want to do anything with kids. Maybe.
No, I just think he has a different agenda now because he's possessed.
Okay, so he doesn't care.
I don't think City's in charge at all. I think it's the entity inside him.
Okay.
I don't think that, but there might be some of those urges from, maybe it's the whole, pedophile thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of it, but...
That he doesn't want that urge to come back, so he wants to get rid of the kid.
Yeah, maybe that's the key for Sydney,
right?
Coming back,
right? So he wants the kid out, but now the kid's not leaving. So, yeah, that was just a thought. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. I think there's more. There's obviously going to be more there,
of course, because that kid is hanging out. And then just a little side story with the rapist and trading it in.
Oh, that little rapist thing.
Well, there was only a tiny bit of it where Mark decides he's going to go trade his truck in for a piece of crap car.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter what they had to do to pay him off. He's not getting his wife's wedding ring. So she's going to go back and get his ring and get her ring. And they have a bit of a lovey scene there at the end. And there are some scenes interspersed with them taking care of Abby. And with Kyle but they didn't have a lot to do in this episode. I liked the scene at the end where he decides he's going to get Irene back. It was very.
Now doesn't he still have those charges against him for beating the crap out of the rapist? Yeah, so
he does.
It's not over yet.
No, no, it's not over yet. I'm just saying that's what he did in this episode.
Right.
Is all. So that's all there was, I think, in this. But a lot of backstory.
I think one thing we did overlook is the whole business with Ogden and his wife, because Ogden's talking about how he actually likes his wife more now that she's possessed.
Right. I forgot about that.
Which is kind of
right.
That's which is like he's
he
all
has that talk
like
with
I don't know,
Giles,
no,
Giles,
don't
right?
don't put don't free her. This wife is better than what I've got.
Something about the woman I woke up with this morning is the one I want.
Yeah, he makes this comment that she's interesting.
Right.
So maybe he just was bored to tears with his actual wife.
Right.
It's like, I know there's like weird stuff going on, but at least it's interesting.
But who cares, right?
Yeah. And they make an explanation. They explain the deal with the trailer was that apparently when the people that get possessed, supposedly, there's like they have these issues with assimilating to that body.
Right.
So apparently that trailer was a place for them to kind of work those issues out.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So she went and tore things up out in the trailer, and he.
Yeah, whatever because whatever if she went like crazy demonic person, she could do it out in this trailer and nobody would notice because it's way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. I must have missed that.
Yeah. Supposedly that's the deal.
So that's what he talked about with Giles.
With Giles, yeah. So yeah, that's when
I did catch the thing where he said,
difficult. What they phrase is they're difficult moments.
Yeah, where he said the woman I woke up with this morning, that's the one I want to keep.
Yeah. Oh, and then of course we got that little bit at the end where Reverend Anderson finally gets his groove back a little bit and starts making out with Patricia.
Right.
Oh yeah.
With Miss McCready.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
there was a little bit of that going.
Rev's getting a little action. Rev is revving up his motor.
He sure is revving up. All right.
Christmas.
So, what did you give this episode?
I enjoyed this one a lot. This one, if you remember, a few weeks back, I was saying, there should be some big stuff coming up. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, here we are. We're getting some big things dropped on us, and it's coming together, I think. Really enjoyed it. 9 out of 10 mysteriously delivered flowers.
Yeah. I loved this episode, mostly because there were some episodes before this where I was like, I just am not sure about this show right now. And
how do you feel now?
I am completely sure about this show.
Are you in now?
Yeah, I am. And it's not like I was going to quit because it was good.
Right.
But it was
well made.
So slow.
I think they just it just took a little too long, and they kind of did this in the comic.
Yeah.
They took a little too long to get to the meat of the stuff.
Right.
To hook you.
Right. And this, I'm hooked. I mean, learning about Sydney's backstory and all the stuff with Reverend Anderson. And, in this one episode, it really gave me a lot to chew on. So I also gave it 9 soulless ginger teens.
Nice. Gingers have no souls.
That's right. They have no souls.
According to Eric Cartman on South Park. If you gave Outcast a few episodes and you're like, I don't know about this, and you checked out, give it another shot and hang on at least until episode 7 and 8, because
if you can get to 8, I think you're golden.
Even 7, because you got the whole business with Anderson and his carved chest and all that going crazy. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I have to say that Glenister is crazy good in these 2 episodes.
He always is. I loved him since Life on Mars.
Right. And
as
Brent Spiner
Detective GCI Gene Hunt.
Brent Spiner as well in this episode is...
It's how great is it that Brent Spiner finally found another role?
Right.
A significant role.
Right.
And he had the Independence Day guy, but he hasn't.
He died.
He's appeared here and there, but this one is like an actual character of substance.
Right. And he has a huge backstory and a lot of stuff to really work with.
And it's completely different for him, anything he's done before. So shows you the guy's range that was really utilized.
And it's genre. So I really
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, I dug this one. 9s from both of us. So that's high praise, I think.
I think so too. So yeah, check it out. I mean, if you're curious about Outcast, check it out because I think you'll dig it.
If you don't mind a bit of dirtiness, griminess, gore,
you almost do feel like you need a shower after you watch these episodes.
Kind of do.
But if you're into that,
sure.
It's not a kiddie show by any means.
And even if there's not like a visceral aspect to every show, there's blood in every episode.
Right.
There's some,
but it's not like constant blood. It's not like Walking Dead constant gore.
No. But
it's just
his chest was carved in last week's episode, and there was blood all over the. There
are moments. Yes.
Brent Spiner had the kid in the room in this week's episode, so there's some ickiness in every episode.
Some unsavoriness, but if you enjoy that kind of stuff,
or if you don't mind it with the story,
if you enjoy, exactly. If you can appreciate the drama behind it,
I give it a thumbs up. I mean, I can recognize a good story, and this is a good story,
and it's picking up, so it's at least going somewhere now.
Right, I dig it.
Yep.
Okay,
all right,
on to Wynonna Earp, episode 8, Two-Faced Jack.
Yeah, written by James Hurst, directed by Ron Murphy.
Alrighty.
Yep.
So, my storyline titles. Sorry.
And speaking of gross, we had this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Plot point titles again. A story, Blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
B story, A Not So Bromance for the Ages.
I like that. I think that's my favorite this week.
Oh, good.
I like that one.
C story, Doc Gets a Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And my bonus, those ain't the rules of Fight Club.
Yeah. Let me guess. The first rules of Fight Club are don't talk about Fight Club.
No. Well, if you don't talk about Fight Club, who's going to find it?
I love that line. I love that. Too. That was great.
Me too. So Blackjack, obviously, we're talking about Jack, who...
One-Eyed Jack.
His name is Two-Faced Jack.
Two-Faced Jack. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Jack, who was the last of the 7.
Twin Peaks, One-Eyed Jacks.
Yeah, the last of the 7. And they figured out that it was a man with the cane, with the little, the...
Yeah, the last of the 7.
Right.
Yeah, with the little spade thing on his neck.
Right, and that he was taking women of a certain type and taking out their organs. And so this episode starts where the last episode...
Oh, no. They taking out the organs was the doctor guy.
I know. I'm not there yet.
All right.
They just assumed that it was the Jack.
Got it. Okay.
So it starts where Doc Holliday is looking at the empty car with the blood all over it, where Officer Hot and Wynonna were in it, and then
that empty car that was just strolling along, and right. And Holliday's just like, what?
He's yelling for Wynonna.
Yeah.
So he goes to tell Dolls that Wynonna and Officer Hot are missing.
Mm-hmm.
So of course they're gonna look for them, right?
Right, exactly.
But the next thing is that we see... and he finds a horse.
Yes.
Doc Holliday finds a horse.
Yeah, there's a great moment later in the episode where Doc Holliday is down at the Black Badge headquarters or whatever, and they come out, and his horse is parked there. Right. And I guess the town sheriff or something is just like,
get your
you're
horse
gonna have to you better move your horse.
Right. It's got its
it was pretty good.
It's tied to a little post outside.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to move your horse. That's what he said.
Exactly. It's very funny.
Yeah.
So Wynonna wakes up in a hospital bed, and the morgue doctor comes in.
Yeah. Who knew? This guy seemed like he's such a nice guy last episode.
Yeah. And he tells Wynonna that, I don't know what you remember, but you were in an accident and he's got her all drugged up. Yeah. So she can't move her legs. And
actually, she's kind of freaking out a little bit.
I liked my legs. That was one of the lines I really liked. I kind of use them to walk. She says things like that to the doctor. So he's, doing stuff, and she is kind of realizing that there's something hinky happening.
Yeah. Now, she was pretty clever in the fact that she takes the IV and she pinches it off and kind of wedges it under her elbow pit there.
Right. So she recognizes that something is happening that's not so right. Mm-hmm. So she does something there. And through the episode, she realizes more and more. And we'll see that through the whole thing is that she, first of all, she pinches the thing. And then when she looks, she hears something next to her and she pulls the curtain.
Right.
And it's, what's her name from last week's episode? What's her name? Betsy or...
Yeah, Whitney
Bethany.
Or something.
Bethany.
Okay,
so it's Bethany who is apparently in love with the doc, kind of.
Okay.
He'll fix me, and she's got like a neck bandage on, and at first she's buying into like, he's okay, it's no big deal, I'm just gonna lie here and be quiet. Right.
And Wynonna's going, dude is crazy, we need to get out of here.
Right. Wynonna has her convinced, let me out, and, get me a wheelchair. And then the doctor is walking down the hall.
And he's whistling, which is always bad.
Right. She chickens out and lays back down.
Yeah, it turns out she's a big old coward.
Yeah. And codependent, apparently.
Yeah.
So she
can't go.
Yeah, I love him. So she lays back down. The doctor comes and gets her and takes her in for her quote-unquote treatment.
Yep.
And she goes away.
Now, Wynonna takes advantage of this being gone, and this is where we get into Wynonna Earp's version of Kill Bill Volume 1.
Right.
If you know what I'm talking about here, because basically she's sitting there going, wiggle your big toe.
Right.
As Uma Thurman did.
Here's one thing I was wondering. She knows that the medicine is doing this to her. Why didn't she just pull out the IV?
That's what I was wondering.
Right. Now, she does this later.
She eventually does, but it's like, well, maybe she was drugged and she wasn't thinking clearly.
Maybe.
But
at this point, she should have.
But I'm thinking, if you pinch it off, why not just yank it out and you're done with it?
Right. She really should have, at this point, pulled it out.
But eventually, yes. So because, she had cut off the supply, she's starting to get circulation back in her legs.
Right. So she wiggles her toes and she realizes, well, if I can wiggle my toes, I can get up. So she jumps out. She does this thing where she
falls. Rocks herself out of bed, falls on the floor, and then she's just like Uma Thurman. She's crawling along the floor, and
she makes it to a table with all kinds of horrible implements on it, and she grabs the very smallest thing she can get, which is a scalpel.
Well, it's because she can hide it.
She wants to hide it, right?
Yeah.
So she grabs a scalpel and she goes back into the bed, and she hears Bethany die.
Screaming. Yeah.
It's
and then there was a really great sequence inside that operating room and this really impressed me with Wynonna Earp, which is kind of why I gave a little bit of a higher rating this time, I think, because there's a shot where she's awake on the operating table. Dude basically has given her a living autopsy.
Right.
Where he's got her completely open, removing her organs from her as she's awake watching this.
Right.
And it's one of those, like, holy crap moments.
He's got...
picture, if you remember that Tom Petty video with Alice in Wonderland.
Right. Don't come around here.
Around here no more.
Yeah. He's got
pretty much like that.
Her spleen out or something, and that's when she screams and he drops stuff and she dies. And
he's all pissed. He's just like, "Oh, I was supposed to work this time."
Right.
Oh.
And he gets all mad and he throws.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, the next one will have to do it. It'll work the next time."
Right.
Whatever.
So she's dead. She checked out,
but
dead,
But so, cheers for being a coward. You got your reward.
That's right.
Cowards die.
Well, we knew since he took her instead of Wynonna that it was going to be a sacrifice. I mean, you just had to know.
She was expendable.
Bite it.
Yeah.
So he goes back into the other room and he has his psychopath talk with Wynonna. And Wynonna's still assuming that he's the Revenant.
Yeah. And she's kind of pretending to be all more out of it.
Still out of it, right.
Even though she's making jokes.
Right. And they're still talking. She's still doing the thing. She's trying to get him close. He notices that her necklace is on the floor, and she distracts him enough to say, "Oh, well, it must have come off." Things. Please put it back around my neck. And he almost puts it around around her neck, and that would put him close enough so she could use the scalpel. But he says, "No, I don't think you deserve it yet." And we got some of those close call things. Then she goads him a little bit and says, "How'd you like touching my gun?" And there's a lot of other stuff. So that she still thinks he's the Revenant. Then there's something. He goes down the hallway again, right?
Yes.
And she follows him, and she comes up behind him with a scalpel and puts it up against his neck.
Right.
And now I'm trying to think of what happens next. I just watched it too.
Yeah, it's okay. I think you pretty much hit it. But
so something.
Well, it turns out that he's not the Revenant after all.
Right, and the actual Jack
Revenant
comes in and kills him because he's of no use to him anymore, and he confronts Wynonna, and Wynonna is like, "Oh, well, I guess I got that wrong." Right. And now she realizes, well, okay, now I'm in some trouble. And just as he is on her a little too much, he lashes her down to a table. He's gonna do bad things to her. And he talks to her, "Well, I'm not a doctor. He was the doctor. He was doing stuff for me." Just as he's about to do horrible things to her, this is when, and we'll talk about the other stuff later, they've found out where she's being held. So Dolls and Doc burst in, and they stop Jack from performing whatever it was that he was.
Wynonna's almost like a damsel in distress in this episode.
She really is. Although you have to say, she was paralyzed by these.
Yeah, but I mean, you expect her to be more resourceful, to able to save herself.
You would think, yeah.
As opposed to just like, "Oh no, I'm tied to a table. Oh, help me."
Right. So Jack has what does he have? A gun in his hand or something?
He's got a cane.
Okay, in his hand, and Doc shoots it out of his hand, and it's enough to distract him. So he goes after Doc, and this Dolls takes the table with Wynonna and wheels it away, unhooks her. She tells him where the gun is, and they keep Jack distracted long enough for Dolls to get the gun and bring it back, and they end up hurting him enough with the knife, so he's hurt really badly. She follows him and ends up dispatching him, but not before he reveals that he has an English accent, and she is doing something that Scotland Yard never could do. And then she sends him.
So basically teasing that, he's Jack the Ripper.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that little bit of information, which I thought was kind of cool to put into this.
Yeah.
It would be about the right time period. So now there's that. Did I miss anything there?
I don't think so.
Okay. So then we have the not so bromance for the ages. And this is Dolls and Doc have to team up.
Yeah, with Wynonna being the damsel in distress, it's basically a good excuse to have Dolls paired up with Doc for most of the episode.
Right. Now they almost take Waverly, but Waverly has to stay behind and look at the picture and try and decipher who the picture is.
Yeah.
I guess it's just an excuse not to have Waverly in the episode.
Yeah. You're the useless sidekick. Go away.
Right.
Yeah.
So they find out that they didn't take Officer Hot, so they go to talk to Officer Hot. She doesn't remember much, but it's just enough to lead them somewhere.
I remember Waverly smiling at me from the car or whatever. Oh yeah.
So yeah, then Doc says, "Well, what do you remember?" He has her close her eyes and remember smells, and she remembers some smells. And Waverly,
it smelled like gasoline and musk and a tinge of sourness.
Right, some like rotting fruit. And they both kind of come to the conclusion that it is like sour mash from
a bootlegging facility. Right. Yeah.
And they need to find out where the entrance to this place is. And Doc remembers who is in charge of all this.
Whiskey Jimmy.
That's right. So they have to go find Whiskey Jimmy. And Doc takes Dolls to Whiskey Jimmy's. And Whiskey Jimmy runs a fight club.
Fight club.
And those ain't the rules of Fight Club comes in here, which is... now, there's some rules here, he tells him.
Yep.
And he says, yeah, I know. The first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. No. If you
so basically, we have a revenant in charge of a fight club.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like that they talk about the Fight Club because he says, well, first of all, I love that first rule because it's a dumb rule not to talk about Fight Club. Of course, you talk about it to the right people because you want people to come and fight, right?
Yeah.
And he says, these people, some of them are people and some of them are revenants. And the people that come that are humans, they don't know they're fighting demons, which makes it all the better. It makes for interesting fights. So Whiskey Jimmy comes in with his bodyguards and he says, do you have my $10,000, Doc? And Doll says, of course you owe him money.
Money, right.
And he brings out his black badge. And that's the second rule of Fight Club. No cops.
Right, of course.
Whiskey Jimmy says, I can't believe you brought a cop in here. And he says, well, he's going to have your money if you can tell us where the bootlegging place is. So they go into his office and he says, well, I guess what? I'll tell you where the bootlegging place is if you guys fight.
Because hey, we got this Fight Club setting. We got to make the most of it.
Well, and he can make money off of it. I think that was the whole point of...
I know, but I'm just saying from a script point of view.
Yeah. And what I thought was humorous about it was that, Dolls has already shown that he works out all the time and that he's super fit and everything. And Doc just isn't.
No, he's basically old-timey fighter guy.
Right.
I mean, he basically has his fists up like in the traditional, like old-timey fisticuffs. Yeah, put him up.
But he's not muscly.
And Dolls is like, skilled fighter.
Right, MMA kind of.
Hand to hand, yeah, basically like MMA-style fighting.
Right. So Doc he's watching Dolls do these like MMA type moves, and he is doing these kind of half-hearted air punches, which I think is funny.
So realistically, Dolls should kick Doc's ass big time.
Right. And see, Doc knows that, but he also knows that he's not going to die. So he figures he'll take the beating, but whatever.
But actually,
Whiskey Jimmy decides he's going to make it interesting. So he brings Doc this document that he has taped together.
Yeah, it's like basically it was like in a shredded.
Right.
In a shredding paper shredding machine, and then taped back together.
Right. And he tells him that Bobo has tendrils that go outside the town, and he has gotten it from one of his sources. And it shows that Dolls was going to turn him in to his superior as the specimen to poke and prod.
Right.
And this kind of just makes up his mind. It makes
He's
Doc,
like Doc Smash.
yeah, it makes Doc mad, and the fight.
Doc angry.
The fight gets interesting after that. They decide they're going to have a real fight at this point. Doc is not one to
and
trust
Dolls
with.
is like, oh, it's on, huh?
He says, "Let's make this look good," and Doc says, "We don't have to make it look good," and he knocks him for a loop. And Doll said, "So that's how it's going to be," and they fight.
Right.
And about halfway through, Doc says, "So you were going to turn me in, huh?" He reveals that he knows this. And, they have a little conversation while they're fighting. It's not the place.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So nothing gets solved during the fight. But, Doc hits him real hard.
Right.
Sucker punches him real hard.
Which is probably the only way you could win the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dolls, I guess, decides that it's hard enough that he can do his whatever yogi tricks on himself, and he stops his heart,
right?
Whatever it is, which is bullcrap.
Well, his eyes get a little glowy, if I recall correctly.
Okay, whatever it is that.
So I think it's something mystical, maybe that he's able to do. Something he may have picked up in Kandahar, wherever he was.
Okay. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
So he does something to make it look like he's dead, and they throw him into a dumpster.
He's mostly dead as opposed to all dead.
As opposed to all dead. So they throw him into a dumpster, and Jimmy says, "Okay, so we saved you." And Doc says, "Well, I still want to know where it is." And he said, "Dolls is the one that wanted to know where it is." And he says, "No, I want to know where it is." So Jimmy says, "Okay, here it is," and writes it down. And he
writes it down on a piece of paper. It's like, why didn't you just tell him?
Right, I don't know.
Why would you want paper evidence?
Yeah. And he gives him, this was hilarious, gives Doc the key to the car. Doc has no idea how to drive a car.
That was pretty funny because, obviously Mr. 19th Century has no clue how to drive a car. So
he gets in the car and he pushes.
He gets it. He starts playing with the wipers and stuff, and then Doll shows up out of the blue like that. Right. He's like, don't touch my stuff.
Yeah. And then they get on the road. And that's the reason they wrote it down, so that Dolls would know where it is. Obviously.
On the road again. Yeah.
So
got to save Wynonna again.
Again, a not so bromance for the ages. And that's where it picks up, where they end up going to save Wynonna.
Yep. And helping her with the Two-Faced Jack and yada yada. So. And
then that storyline ties up with Doc Holliday confronting him at the end, saying, "Why were you going to turn me in?" And Doll saying it was either you or Wynonna. And they have their guns pointed at each other at that point. And Doc lowers his gun and he says, "Okay, if it was me or Wynonna, I get it." And I guess they come up with this plan because at the end of the episode, Dolls delivers Whiskey Jim to her boss, to Lurks.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I got a revenant right here."
Yeah, so he pulls him out of the van or whatever he's got him in, takes him to this shed or somewhere, he's throws him in there, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna have some fun now."
Yep. And now I got a mole inside Bobo's operation, and you know a lot of stuff. You had that document, so I bet I can get some stuff out of you. And he does make sure that Lurks knows that he can test the limits of this guy, and he won't die permanently. So
because Lurks was all pissed off at Dolls because he always hasn't had any evidence to back up his stuff.
He said, "Well, Doc was just a confidence man, a con man," and
he does try to interestingly, after everything they've been through, now he's just like, "Oh, don't worry about Doc. He's just some con man."
Right. Well, now that Doc and he have bonded.
Yeah, exactly. They've bonded. Right. They fight club bonding.
Right, exactly. Well, he doesn't want a beating again. So.
And they also seem to have this unspoken sympathy toward one another, because I think they both realizes that the other likes Wynonna.
Right. Well, not just Wynonna, but also Waverly. They both have this fondness for
this protectiveness, yeah.
Wynonna and Waverly.
And so they kind of like, okay, I guess you can't be all bad because you care about Wynonna and Waverly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they decide. I guess it's a not so bromance for the ages. So they have this bromance, but it's very tentative. It looks like they're going to work together. They're both going to be on the same side, but it's kind of...
They have a mutual common interest.
Correct.
And that is Wynonna and Waverly.
The friend of my friend is the friend.
Yeah.
kind of. So that's when, I guess they kind of make this pact that he's going to go get Whiskey Jimmy, and that's...
Although what happens when Dolls finds out that Wynonna had sex with Doc?
Who knows?
Ooh.
Yeah, there might be some friction there.
That's got to come out at some point.
We'll find out. So, what did you give this episode?
Enjoyed this quite a bit. I especially enjoyed that living autopsy scene. So that's why I rated this one 8.5 living autopsy organs.
Very nice.
Because I thought it was really cool, especially for Wynonna Earp. So
yeah, it was. It pushed the boundaries a bit.
Great shocking. Exactly. And that's why I try to give some props for it.
It did. And I give it 8 freakishly long fingernails.
Yeah, because
Blackjack had...
yeah, it was basically like right before he's going to like carve into Wynonna. He's got his like fingernails. He's kind of tracing her neck, like I'm gonna slice you right open here with those, and they're all glowy.
Yeah, he did it before. He cut off the Emmy's head with his fingernails before that. So
yeah,
really gross. Yeah. So some good episodes.
So apparently Jack the Ripper had glowy fingernails. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, that he was human then.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he had glowy fingernails until Wyatt Earp killed him.
Okay.
Do you?
Okay.
I don't think he did. So yeah, it was a good episode. I kind of dig that they threw in the Jack the Ripper thing.
I rolled my eyes at that one.
It was cheesy, but
I know it's this show. It's pretty cheesy at
campy
times.
And cheesy,
yes, I know. All right. Okay.
So I did get a note from Justina.
Yeah, what's going on with Justina? Haven't heard from her in ages. Well, hi, Justina.
She's excited for the fall season. And she'll be able to talk to us again. But she wanted to let us know that she loved the new theme song.
Oh, so she checked out the theme song.
That's
good for you.
And it's making her hyped up for the fall season, and she cannot wait to talk to us again.
Well, hopefully she's at least listening to the intros.
Well, how did she know about the intros?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So maybe she's listening to intros.
No, she said she's catching up on the Fandom zones. So.
Oh, that's good. Well, hopefully she enjoys herself.
That's right.
And thanks for letting us know you're still alive, Justina.
That's right.
Thanks for the life check-in.
That's right. I love hearing from Justina.
Yep.
So hi, Justina.
Hi, Justina.
And
hi to everybody else that follows us.
Hi to everyone else.
And thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
That's right.
Tell your friends.
And if you would like to be like Justina, you can.
How can you can do that? You want me to go ahead and lay that down? Right. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, you can contact the Fandom Zone podcast by reaching us at fandomzonecast@gmail.com or at fandomzonecast on the Twitter or our Fandom Zone podcast Facebook page.
Thank you, Ted Knight.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Ted Knight.
I know, right?
We miss you.
I miss him.
You were awesome.
Rest in peace, Kenny Baker.
Oh, yeah. We got some really bad news today, guys, and you probably know because, Star Wars, who doesn't know this stuff? If you're Generation Star Wars like me and Karen, then, you're a little bummed because we lost the first cast member of Star Wars, the original Star Wars today, Kenny Baker. And,
because we lost Admiral Akbar already, but...
but I mean, he was the main original cast.
Right.
It's the original Star Wars cast, the primary cast. So yeah, this is the first one we've lost of the primary cast, and so it's we're a little bummed by that. And I mean, if you haven't seen the movie Time Bandits, I hardly recommend it because Kenny Baker's in that as well.
That is such a great movie.
And he's a great character in it. So so go watch Time Bandits after you watch Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Because we know you're going to watch Star Wars and you're like, oh, Kenny Baker is dead, so I want to watch some Star Wars in memory of him. Check out Time Bandits as well.
Yep. It's a Terry Gilliam movie.
Yeah, you will definitely appreciate it. It's got a very odd ending.
Like every Terry Gilliam movie.
Every Terry Gilliam movie. So, but if you can kind of put that aside a little bit, it's a great movie.
Pour out a little bit of motor oil for my homie.
Yeah, exactly. So, so rest in peace, Kenny Baker, and thank you so much for being a part of our childhoods.
That's right. So, episode 72 of the Fandom Zone dedicated to Kenny Baker.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Thanks for bringing that up. I really appreciate that.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
You bastards. Yeah. Right. 2016, you can suck it.
Yeah,
basically.
I agree.
Because you've taken way too many cool people this year.
Terrible year.
So suck it, 2016.
For me, too.
Seriously. All right.
So you can get in touch with me at Aleveria, Aleveria. Mm-hmm. I got my name back for one of my tunes. So the person who had that name on my server, I switched servers in Warcraft.
Okay.
And when I went to this server, I couldn't get my character's name back. I had to name my character something else. And when I made a demon hunter, I just out of curiosity,
just to see if it would work.
Yep, tried my old name. So now I have Aleveria back as a character.
So you got your gamer tag back.
I did.
Nice.
So you can reach me at Aleveria, which I have back now, Aleveria, and on my Twitter bio you can find a link to my blog, at which there are all my links at a pinned post.
Very nice.
Where can they find you?
Of course, at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, and at Charles Skaggs on the Instagrams,
and
Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus, and Facebook, of course, and my blog Geeky Things, Damn Good Coffee and Hot.
Like your T-shirt.
Like my T-shirt, which is my Dale Cooper Archer mashup.
I love that shirt.
Mashup there because it's great, and it's got a great little picture of Kyle MacLachlan as Dale Cooper. So
I love it.
It's awesome. And so Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all these comic book shows and more. I got lots of comic book TV news this week.
Yeah,
because they had the TCA. The Television Critics Association, and so we got a lot of news about that.
Lots of casting news.
I've been
reading your blog on my tablet this week.
All right. Hope you're enjoying it.
I am.
But we got Lance Henriksen as Obsidian.
Yeah, what is that about?
On Legends of Tomorrow.
It has to be a future thing, right?
I hope so, because if it's not a future thing, and I'm a little disappointed if it's not a future thing, because
he's the son of Alan Scott, right?
He's the son of Alan Scott, but I think Alan Scott's totally out of the equation here.
It's still,
they're screwing up the.
They're bringing in the JSA, and he's the son of a JSA member, so
because Lance Henriksen is 76 years old. People, Obsidian is generally in his 20s,
right? He's supposed to be younger.
So either this is future Obsidian from decades down the road, or Obsidian was in World War II or something in this continuity, and the present day Obsidian is really old.
Yeah, I guess.
So I hope they don't do that either.
He's supposed to be younger than Our Man, right?
Supposed to be.
And
he's the next generation because he's the son of Alan Scott, the original Golden Age Green Lantern.
Right.
But who knows in the Berlanti verse? Who knows?
I have to say I trust Berlanti. So
I don't.
No, I do.
Okay, well I hope.
I mean, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't steered me too wrong. I mean, even Arrow, I still enjoy.
Right.
There's issues with Arrow, but otherwise.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I just know they've screwed up some characters before.
They have.
So yeah, I'm hesitantly nervous about this.
But on the scale of good bad, he's way tilted in the good column.
And my friend Steve, who was the best man at my wedding, who's a huge Obsidian fan, he's a little nervous. We don't even know if Obsidian's going to be gay in this continuity.
No, he's gay in the comics.
Yeah,
and
so
that's a big deal in the comics.
And, because he was like, this is the 80s he came out, so this is a big deal for back then.
Right.
So he's kind of he's like a gay superhero icon.
Right. I wouldn't mind if they didn't even mention it on the show. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
No, it doesn't, but it's kind of like one of the character's defining traits in the comics.
Right.
So it would be nice to have that represented.
Sure.
That's all. But and if even if it's just a subtle way, as long as you realize, hey, okay, so he's gay as an afterthought.
Like
fine.
if he bonds with the White Canary over it or something.
Yeah, or something like that, or or if he meets like Mr. Terrific on Arrow or something.
Sure.
But yeah, something.
They don't shy away from that subject, so
yeah. So we on the plus side, we did finally get some news about the Mirror Master, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. So we got actor Gray Damon as the Mirror Master.
Yeah.
And he was best known. He's he's David Duchovny's sidekick on Aquarius.
Right.
So if you watch that show, that's the guy.
I wasn't impressed by his picture, but I'm okay with him.
But like I said, that picture on my blog is from Aquarius, so he might look a little different on the Flash.
I don't care what he looks like. He's Mirror Master.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, and we got the full trailer for Luke Cage.
Yay!
Which looks pretty cool.
Good.
They even figured out how to work in the tiara, the headband, and the bracelets.
I know. It looks so good.
It looks like that's going to show up during the actual experiment when it goes awry in Seagate Prison. So that's kind of cool.
I can't wait.
And then they cast Stargirl on Legends of Tomorrow, and I got a bunch of stuff. So yeah.
So go see his blog. There's posts that will take you to his blog on our Facebook page, and that might be the easiest way to get to it. But
you can just search "Damn Good Coffee and Hot."
Type in "Damn Good Coffee and Hot." Yeah. But that would be a way.
Or "Damn Good Coffee Charles Skaggs." That's very easy to find.
That would be a way to get them to our Facebook page too.
That's
to go to the Fandom Zone.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Do forget what I said. Do what Karen said. Yeah.
So anyway, there's that. Whichever way you want to go.
We have no ulterior motive here.
It's fine with me. His blog is fantastic. I refer to it a lot. So.
I try my best, and I try to unlike a lot of the entertainment news. I try to actually give a lot of big character details, as opposed to just a small paragraph describing the character. I go into the character's history, who created it, what their deal is, and what their current deal is.
I would like to give a tiny plug to one of my friends wrote a book called Superheroes Anonymous, and it's a fantastic book, and it is on sale right now on Amazon.
Okay.
There is a sequel to it.
Free plug.
Not on sale, but it's an amazing book, Superheroes Anonymous by Lexi Blake. So look it up.
Will do.
It's amazing.
Cool.
By Penguin Books.
Okay. Is it like a thriller or a adventure series, or
it is
a romance series, or?
Let's see. It's about people who have powers that they go to this academy, and it's about their adventures. It's kind of a genre,
kind of like an X-Men kind of thing, maybe.
It's quirky.
Okay.
There's a little bit of romance in it.
Quirky's good.
It's just a quirky, funny, superhero-y sort of,
cool.
Hey, I don't like having these powers, but whatever. I guess I'll use them, and we're all kind of misfits, and
right.
It's very funny.
Misfits of science,
right. And the follow-up is Supervillains Anonymous. So,
very cool.
I think everybody in our audience would probably dig it, and
I'm sure they would.
Fantastic author. So she's one of the nice girls at Nice Girls TV. She's very snarky.
Oh, very cool.
Fun and
Snarky's always good.
Yeah.
I respect Snarky.
And when she made it big, We were all like, "Oh, we knew you win." And I got an email, and I read it. I get these emails from publishing companies, and I scrolled down and I took a screenshot and I posted it on Twitter, and I said, "I can't believe I know you, and you were in a Penguin email." And she's like, "Yay!" She retweeted it and everything. So I was really excited, and it's about superheroes, so go get it.
Yeah, check it out.
Please do. So that's it for this week, I think, yeah?
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, we're going to do another 2. Next week, we're going to cover episodes 9 of both Outcast and Wynonna Earp. So we got the penultimate Outcast for season 1.
That's right.
And then the week after that, we have the premiere of Fear the Walking Dead season premiere.
That's right.
On top of that, so we're starting to get into the good stuff, people.
That's right. Fear the Walking Dead. And there's some promos.
So for all of you that took the summer off, you better come on back, because
that's right.
Yeah, it's getting good.
There's a preview of the Fear the Walking Dead fall season. So you can go to AMC to watch that. There's some good stuff there, and I think I posted some pictures. Yeah, on our website?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've been really good about posting pictures. I've been posting the news. You've been posting the pictures.
Yeah, that's my dealio.
Yeah, that's all right. Everybody seems like, oh, you got a mention by from what's his name on Lucifer?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, right. No, not on Lucifer, on Preacher.
No, Lucifer.
Did I?
That's Detective Douche on
Really?
Lucifer. Yeah.
Okay.
Detective Douche on Lucifer, posted hey, this happened, and posted your picture, shared your picture.
When?
On his official Facebook page.
No way.
I thought you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Detective Douche.
Show me later.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for this week, and now I'm gonna go
geek out
over
yeah
something.
So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll see you next week for episodes 9 of Outcast and Wynonna Earp.
Yep.
Later.
Bye, everyone. Oh.